Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Perito Talk, a chat conversation with leaders and opinion makers on matters that are of substantial social interest. On our show today, we have as our guest a alumnus of the Indian Institute of Technology and a former police officer. Yeah, you heard me right. An engineer who turned to become an IPS, a man who, in the two Telugu speaking states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, is widely known as a super cop. Welcome, Mr. V.V. Lakshminarayan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Pattabhiram. Yeah.
We, as usual, will do a twofold conversation. In part one with Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, we will talk about politics as a career choice for young minds. And then in part two, we'll speak about what you will see there in the backdrop of his bookshelf, India 2020. We'll talk about India 2030. Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, the logical first question that anybody would like to know of you is how come an engineer gets to become a police officer?
I mean, if you see the civil services profile in the country, I think more than 70% of the civil servants are from the engineering background. Because engineering teaches us a bit of more analysis and analytical viewpoint of looking at things. And also, if you see, the supply of engineers is more in this country. Every year, I think few lakhs of engineers come out of various institutions. So now engineering has become like any other graduation, and civil services is one of the options that is there for any graduate because it offers you a lot of avenues for getting into the public service. So that's why a lot of engineers are getting into of late. And I mean, it's ultimately the service, whether you are working as an engineer or whether you are working as a teacher or a doctor or a civil servant or a politician. Ultimately, what matters is the public service. So, I mean, instead of me doing as a public service as an engineer, I was doing public service as a police officer or as a civil servant, I can put it that way. Yeah.
That's I think, extremely well said. Do you really fancy that young boys and girls of today who get into engineering, who get into medicine, who get into law, or who get into chartered accounting would like to or should want to become politicians as a career?
Yeah. I mean, if you ask me that question, my answer is no as well as yes. So I justify both the sayings. No, because the term politics, if you see, is being understood in a negative term, then it is not a career and it is not a cup of tea for so many people. Politics has become, I always see it more of an abusive term or a negative term in the general parlance. Suppose if you see in an office, if somebody does something, people say, don't do politics. In a college, if something happens, then people say it is politics. If somebody is making a group and inspiring some people, people say he is playing politics. So these are the occasions in which we have been using the term politics. Even in family also sometimes we use this word politics in a negative connotation. We say he is unnecessary bringing politics. So these are the usual terms we refer politics in a negative terms. So if you see, all these usages tell us that the term politics is being used for raising emotions without logic, utility, and without reasoning, and without any rational, mostly with selfish interests and motives. I say politics by and large in the society is being established among the educated as a forbidden subject. That's why this question has come, because you are asking me this question itself says that. So there is some negativity about politics. That's why you are asking whether students should pick up politics as a career.
Can I stop you at that point, Lakshmi?
Yeah, please.
I do agree with you that politics has a negative connotation.
Yes.
But my question to you was largely not because of that, but because can somebody choose it as a full-time career, still earn adequate amount of money?
Yeah.
Can somebody look at it? Of course, you answered the question about is it respectable or not, but is it too risky for somebody to embark on politics full-time?
Yeah, I'll definitely answer this. So the question before is are politics good or not? Are politics a career option or not? That's
Correct.
what you were asking me.
Yeah.
That's why if an educated person, a decent person, a clean man wants to enter politics, more than accepting him into politics, people reject him, advise him not to enter into politics. Because I contested elections recently in the year 2019 as a member of parliament from Visakhapatnam constituency. So majority of the people said, don't get into politics. So many people have advised me not to get into politics. They tell it is not your cup of tea. Then I told them. Whereas anyone can go to a coffee shop, because we use the word, it's not your cup of tea.
Correct.
Whereas I tell that anyone can go to a coffee shop and get a coffee of his choice by instructing the staff there in a coffee shop. Since many are not mentally prepared to order their own coffee of their choice, they start telling it is not our cup of coffee. So I always say, if you can say that I can order my cup of coffee, then politics is a very interesting career, very interesting career. And I advise students also to take it up because politics is very powerful. It has got influencing capacity, and earlier kings used to do this. Earlier kings used to this, and now politicians are doing. Only the nomenclature has changed. So I come to the this thing because in the society always politics is a connotation, negative connotation. Because when you talk about students taking up it as a full-time career or somebody want to take it as a full-time career, I always say yes, because from time immemorable, if you see, we needed leaders to protect ourselves. You have asked me about politics as a career. When we want to make a career, we see many things like, is there a vacancy? Is there a chance of propagating an idea? What are my promotional aspects? These are the three things anybody looks into. Suppose say if you attend a campus interview or if you submit your application for an advertisement which has come in the newspaper, then we tend to pursue that particular career. If you see history also, in England, France and America, ordinary people started occupying high positions. If you go through the history. In our country, this has started after the enactment of the Government of India Act 1935. Then it has become a full-fledged after India becoming a republic in 1950. So generally people who are popular, who are associated with the people started getting elected. People who participated in the freedom movement, like advocates being popular, started getting elected. I mean like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and all. In the later stage, doctors started entering into politics. You all know Dr. B.C. Roy, who entered politics and he even became the Chief Minister of West Bengal also. Then Dr. Kesaram Baliram Hegdewar, who was a medical doctor, started the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. So in advanced stages, even teachers also started getting elected. And if you see the southern states of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, we have seen film personality entering into politics. And few people from civil services also, they also started entering into politics. Nowadays, many with criminal antecedents, many industrialists, real estate agents, they are also joining the politics and they're getting elected. People with money and muscle power are finding favor with the political parties. And the political parties also started inducting them because these people have been given a banner called winning horses.
I will ask you something.
Yeah.
From what you have said, this is a big open door where anybody can get in.
Yes.
What in your view, if a nephew or niece of mine wants to get into politics, who is say the mid-20s, what are the three skills that he must have?
Yeah. Because as I mentioned, the number of vacancies we always see, I mean, maybe your niece or somebody wants to Because many people, they do not know what is the vacancy position that is there in the politics. There are 793 MPs. There are 423 MLAs, 426 MLCs. There are 25 mayors in the metros. And if you see the municipal chairmen and councillors, they are about 50,000. If you see the Zilla Parishad chairperson, they are about 17,500. If you see the block panchayats, there are about 1,80,000. And if you go to Gram Panchayat level, it is almost about 30 lakhs. So the total vacancy every 5 years that is arising in this country is about 31 lakhs 56,000. I mean, it is mind-boggling if you actually think about it. If you actually think about it, nobody looks from this particular angle. Yeah.
I think it is 10 times the head count of TCS.
Yeah, definitely. But we never look at it. So there are so many jobs in this country and they're time bound also. And every 5 years, these jobs becoming available also. So these jobs need different preparations. What you have asked me, what type of skills they are not. Actually, they're emotion based. They are time based. They are idea based. They are influence based. They are eloquence based. And they are leadership based. And it's a very, very skillful job, I tell you. It's not like you get a degree, go and join TCS as you have mentioned just now. It's a very skillful job. What is needed to become a politician is not the education, but it is the skill. Hence, a candidate needs a lot of width of subject and also scope in politics to take it up as a career. And also one thing I said, anyone can enter. That is the thing we have discussed. Whereas if you want to appear in civil services, if you say, you need to be a graduate. If you want to be a chartered accountant, you need to clear the examinations conducted by your institute. And if you wanted to be a professor in economics, you need a PhD. So these are the qualifications that are prescribed. But if you want to become a finance minister, you need not require a PhD. You can become anything. You can control anything if you are in politics.
Now, I'm increasingly getting to be worried as to whether you made that statement with sarcasm or whether you made that statement very seriously.
Yeah, it's very serious because, I mean, if you go through the history, I mean, basically no educational qualification has been prescribed to enter into politics because actually this was discussed also. This was discussed in the Constituent Assembly meetings also. Then they said there should not be a qualification for any politician because there may be a progressive farmer. He is very good in farming, but he may not have the basic schooling or basic education. But the country should not lose his expertise in the agriculture. So he can come and he can become and he can offer his expertise. So that is, yeah.
In the changed circumstances, now that 70 years have gone since the Constituent Assembly came in,
yes,
and given the fact that you have a very, very impressive academic background, would you think that we should have some education before a person becomes an MLA or an MP? And if you think should that be a formal degree kind, or should he go through a course that teaches him about constitution, that teaches him about probity in public life, that teaches him about how to be, for want of a better phrase, I'm saying how to behave in parliament, etc.
Yeah, because I always make a distinction between literacy and education.
True.
Maybe somebody is very well educated, somebody might have entered into civil services, but if that man accepts and bribe, you call him educated or you call him literate. He might be having great degrees. Maybe he might have come out from a great institution. But once he sits in his chair, if he starts accepting, we keep seeing in the newspaper so many people getting caught accepting bribe or getting indulged in all nefarious activities. So I always make a distinction between literacy and education because I always quote Albert Einstein here. What he said is, education is what remains with you when you have forgotten what you have learned in schools and colleges. That is what is education. Nowadays, we are all seeing literate people in the society. That's why if you see Sanskrit, the word for literate is a sakshara. A literate person is known as sakshara. So suppose if you start reading it from reverse, it becomes Rakshasa. It's a demon. So you need to make a distinction between literacy and education. So a person who may not be a literate, he may be a good education. He might have received great education. So that's why I stick to the point that even though if you analyze all the assemblies and also Lok Sabha, generally most of the people, majority of them, I think 80 to 87%, they're all graduates now. So that is indirectly taken care of. But only thing is, because you are asking me about the skills which are required, and it is a very, very challenging assignment if you see politics, because you should be physically, you should be mentally, and you should be popularity wise, ideological wise. All the time you have to be prepared, and your preparedness or your efficiency is tested every 5 years. This doesn't happen with any other profession. Because once you get into civil services, say for example, if you, whether you work or not, and finally you will retire after after you become 60-year-old. But here, every 5 years you are subjected to a test. And also it is not a single, it's a 360-degree assessment that is done every 5 years. So you should be ever fit, and you have to sustain every day also. That's it's a very, very challenging assignment, what I always advise the youngsters to take it up. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. And I think our movies have said that so often about a civil service guy being there up to 58, whereas a politician serves for 5 years.
Yeah.
I have read that you have addressed a lot many young minds. Somewhere I read that you have addressed totally in all as much as 30 lakh people.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to today talk to someone in their mid-20s, early 30s, would you advocate that they take up to politics as a career? And in what way?
Yeah, why not? I always tell the people, why not? Suppose in a city, suppose you are in Chennai and I am in Hyderabad. In a city, someone has to jump into the manhole and keep the city free from contamination or pollution. If everybody wants to jump only in good lakes, the city will be stinking. Think about it. If you feel politics are wretched, then you must enter. Definitely good people must enter. People who climbed Mount Everest, they are remembered, not somebody who did not even try it also. So the man who taught us to clean our toilets has become the father of the nation and has inspired 68 other nations to become independent. Every morning he with a broomstick in hand and bucket in other cleaned the toilets. That I am talking about Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah, I understand.
With the same broomstick, he has thrown the British also and we got independence. Now we need to take that broomsticks in our hands. And now we need to clean the stink. So think about it. Think about it, my dear friends. Think again, think again, think again. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that fascinating comparison with Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah.
And now, as we begin to wind up our first part, I want to ask you a question that's quite sensitive.
Yeah.
I do sincerely hope that you would not mistake my asking that question.
Definitely, yeah.
Should an IPS officer, as decorated as you were, and someone who has worked in multiple cases, get into politics, join a political party?
Yes.
Is that the right thing? Does that send the right signal? And should more people choose to do that?
Yeah.
And when I say you, I'm not being personal. I have also asked the same question when the chief of the army chose to join the national BJP and multiple other situations.
That's why I said, if you want to cleanse the system, we need to jump into it. In the process, you may also get soiled. There is no doubt about it. Because basically our minds have been corrupted by the intellectual crooks, I say, by saying that it is not your job to join politics. That you should get out of it. So politics is the ultimate form of public service. That is how I look at it. Civil services, as I mentioned, also offer you a chance to serve the people, but the scope is limited, whereas the scope is much more in politics. So if people with the goal of serving the people come to politics, then the public would get benefited. If people with the intention of making personal gain, then people will suffer. That's why whenever people say they want to enter into civil services, I also say if you have a concept of serving people, come to civil services. if you have an idea of making money, never come to civil services because you will spoil the nation. So it's the responsibility of the good people to join politics, and it is the responsibility of the people also to send good people to the parliament and to the state assemblies, because people are also responsible for this. So if you want to really bring a change, and if you want to make our country a nation again, then definitely I advise people, good people, to enter politics and join politics and give the best of you to the nation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lakshmi Narayana. I think that was absolutely inspiring. I think maybe you have moved me about 20, 25% to get into politics, but of course, I don't think I will get into that.
No, never say that. Never say that. There is the problem with our society. Never say that. Yeah.
I think there are many different ways in which we can serve our country.
Definitely.
But I do appreciate your point. I do take your point. I do sincerely hope that lot of good people come to politics, that good people vote so that we have good governments in place. Thank you very much. We will meet on the other side of this episode when we talk with you about India 2030.
Thank you.
Thank you.